Nathan followed up with a more measured, but equally scolding, message about how I could have handled things in private. Funny, they always wanted me to be quiet. Even now, with the truth out, they still expected silence. I didn't reply, I left the chat instead. The next message I received came directly from my father. It was a single line, "What do you want from me?" I stared at it for a long time. I thought about all the years I'd wanted him to notice me, to acknowledge something, anything, that I'd done right. I thought about how I used to practice telling him about my awards or published articles, only to chicken out when he barely looked up from the TV. And now, after everything, he wanted to know what I wanted. So I replied, "Nothing, not anymore." He didn't message again after that, but 3 days later, I got a certified envelope in the mail. It was from his attorney. I felt a wave of panic. Was he suing me, cutting me out of the family somehow? I opened it slowly, heart pounding. Inside was a letter, not from a lawyer, from my dad. Typed, not handwritten, classic him. It read, "I read your letter a dozen times. I don't know what to say. Maybe it's too late to say anything that matters, but I didn't realize how much I failed you. Your mother used to try to tell me. I thought she was exaggerating. I thought I was raising my sons to be strong, and I assumed you were just different, private, soft. I didn't see you. You're right. I didn't look up. I'm sorry. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to know I've started reading your book." And I cried when I saw the foundation in her name. You didn't need me to succeed, but I wish I had been the father you deserved. I didn't cry reading that. I didn't scream either. I just felt tired. The kind of tired that settles deep in your bones when you finally let go of years of weight. He wasn't asking for a relationship. He wasn't asking me to forget. For once, he was just telling the truth. That was more than I thought he'd ever give me. But life wasn't done throwing punches yet. 2 weeks later, I was having lunch with my cousin Monica when she dropped something that nearly made me choke on my iced tea. "Did you hear Caleb tried to convince your dad to leave you out of the will?" I blinked. "What?" "Yeah, apparently there was this huge argument right after the party. Caleb and Nathan cornered your dad, said you were just trying to manipulate him with guilt, that the letter was some emotional stunt to get money." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was just so predictable. "Of course they did." Monica leaned in. "Except this time, your dad didn't listen. He told them he'd seen the light too late, but he wasn't going to die pretending he hadn't seen it at all. He rewrote his will, split everything equally, and gave your foundation a donation in your mom's name." I sat there, frozen. All those years of silence, all the dinners where I was invisible, the birthdays he forgot. The time I called him crying after my first breakup, and he told me to stop being dramatic. And now, he was finally trying. I didn't know how to feel. 2 nights later, he called me. I almost didn't pick up, but something made me press answer. His voice was raspy, quieter than I remembered. "I don't expect us to be close, Lily, but I'd like to know if you're open to something, maybe lunch, just to talk. You don't owe me anything, but I'd like to listen." I hesitated, then I said, "One condition." "Anything. You don't get to tell people I forgave you. You don't get to frame this as a heartwarming ending. This isn't a movie." He let out a dry chuckle. "Fair enough. I'll see you at noon." We met at this little diner Mom used to love. He looked older than I remembered, frielier. He didn't try to hug me, didn't force a smile. We talked about Mom, about the foundation, about his regrets. We didn't talk about the party. We didn't need to. I don't know if we'll ever have the kind of relationship I used to hope for. There's too much water under that bridge, and some of it is poisoned. But something shifted that day. And maybe, just maybe, that gift I gave him wasn't just for him. It was for me. The act of finally speaking up, of reclaiming my voice in the middle of a room that had never truly heard me, was the closure I didn't know I needed. Not revenge, not vengeance, just truth. And that truth broke something in him. But it also cracked something open in me. The photo I put in the box? It's on my desk now. He gave it back to me during lunch. "Keep it," he said. "You're the only one in that picture who still remembers who we were." He was right. Sometimes, the strongest message isn't something you say out loud. It's the silence you leave behind. And in that silence, he finally listened. At my dad's retirement party, he gave a speech and said, "I owe everything to my sons. My daughter was never good enough." Everyone clapped. I stood up, gave him a box wrapped like a gift, and said, From your biggest failure. Then I walked out. When he opened it, he started yelling. Hey, Hedge. But before we get into that, I just want to say, if you like stories like this, please subscribe. It's free, fast, and really helps our community grow. Now, back to the story. Growing up, I always felt left out. My name is Lily, and I'm 29 now, but even as a little girl, I could tell my dad never looked at me the way he looked at my brothers. My older brothers, Caleb and Nathan, were everything to him. Caleb played football, Nathan built robots and won science fairs. Dad went to all their games and contests, he cheered for them, supported them, showed up. Me? I liked reading, I loved drawing, I didn't care about trophies or attention, I just wanted my dad to talk to me like I mattered. But year after year, I felt invisible in a family that only celebrated the boys. My mom tried to help, but most of the time, she was busy trying to keep everyone from fighting. She once told me in a whisper while tucking me in. Some men raise daughters like a burden they never asked for. I didn't fully get it then, but now I understand exactly what she meant. My dad was a regional manager at a major logistics company. To the world, he was this charismatic, respected leader. At home, he barely looked at me, unless it was to criticize. When I got a scholarship to a liberal arts college, he rolled his eyes and said, "Guess you'll major in feelings." When I graduated with honors, he skipped the ceremony because Caleb was having his first baby. When I published my first book, he didn't read it, he told me it was a vanity project. Still, I showed up, I sent birthday gifts, holiday cards, came to family barbecues, even when he acted like I was just some guest he barely tolerated. Mom passed away 3 years ago. After that, the distance between me and my dad became a canyon. He retired last month, and my brothers planned a huge surprise party for him. They invited coworkers, extended family, old friends. I debated not going, but something in me, a voice I'd ignored for years, said I should, not out of duty, but because I needed closure. I arrived 10 minutes late intentionally. The hall was packed. My brothers gave speeches, talking about what an inspiration Dad had been. People cheered, toasts were made. Then Dad took the stage. He smiled that smug smile I'd seen 1,000 times, looked over the crowd, and said, "I owe everything to my sons, Caleb, Nathan, you two are the reason I kept going all these years. You've always had what it takes. My daughter, she never quite had it, but every man needs strong sons to carry his name forward." The room clapped. Some people looked uncomfortable, but no one said anything. Caleb and Nathan laughed like it was some kind of inside joke. I stood up, not angrily, not in some dramatic rush, calm, controlled. I walked to the front, right as he was stepping down, and handed him a neatly wrapped box. "From your biggest failure," I said, and I smiled. He looked confused, maybe a little amused. I turned and left the party in silence. Didn't even grab a slice of cake. I got in my car and drove away, the knot in my chest finally loosening. What was in the box? That's the part no one expected. It wasn't something flashy, it wasn't something angry or cruel. It was a letter, one I'd written a year ago and sealed in a small wooden case. Alongside it was a single item, a photo of me, Mom, and Dad. I was maybe 6, sitting on his lap, grinning ear to ear. He had one arm on each of us. It was the last photo where I ever felt like his daughter. The letter explained everything, my achievements, the awards I never bragged about, the students I now teach, the book that got picked up for adaptation, the foundation I started in Mom's name. I laid it out, not to prove I was worthy, but to show him what he missed. At the bottom of the letter, I wrote, "You lost your daughter a long time ago, and all you had to do was look up." Nathan called me 2 hours after I left. He was panicked. He said, "Dad was screaming in front of everyone after reading it. He was red in the face. You humiliated him." I just asked, "Did he cry?" Nathan was quiet for a long time, then he whispered, "Yeah, he did." The next morning, I woke up to 30 missed calls, mostly from extended family. A few texts from Caleb calling me a selfish brat. But one voicemail stuck out. It was from my Aunt Carla. She said, "Lily, I've never seen your father so shattered. You didn't break him, you showed him what he broke. I'm proud of you." That one message gave me a strange kind of peace. But it didn't end there, that was just the beginning. The fallout from that night turned everything upside down. By the next week, the family group chat had turned into a war zone. Caleb wrote this novel-length rant about how I'd embarrassed our father in front of colleagues, friends, even their pastor. He accused me of ruining a celebration meant to honor decades of hard work.